Welcome back to Under Par Acres. A lot has been happening with the house build and things are really starting to come together. We've got a new driveway about to go in, so I've got to get to work rebuilding the tee box on the driveway to make it look a lot nicer. With the new driveway about to go in, I'm afraid that the tee box we built last year on our backyard golf hole is going to start to become a little bit of an eyesore. My plan has been to build a retaining wall around the tee box similar to what we built around our fire pit last fall. I've been saving some natural rock that I've dug up all throughout the yard over the last year, and I'm starting to think that this might be a better solution. So I'm going to get a bucket of the rocks and take it up to the tee box and spread it out and see what I think. And my initial thoughts are that this would look really good and be a much cheaper and natural solution. The next few days we had the crew back out to get started building the foundation for our driveway, and the big equipment was back to work, so once again we had to just sit back and enjoy watching. We had about 7 or 8 loads of chert spread out and compacted, and this will serve as the base of our driveway. After the chert gets compacted and dries up, they'll top dress the entire driveway with 2 to 3 inches of gravel, which should look fantastic. Once again though, I'm completely envious of watching the bulldozer get to work, and I can't help but think of all the projects I've either done or am about to do where this would save me an immense amount of time and energy. Before getting back to work building the wall around the tee box, I needed to get our fall garden planted. So I got the Mahindra tractor and the disc plow out to chop up the ground, and I used my landscape rake to create some garden beds. For now I'm getting some squash and pumpkin seed in the ground, and I'll come back next month and get my green garden going. But what I'm most excited about is having running water at the side of the garden to make life a whole lot easier. And at this point, I couldn't be any more thankful that I decided to have the water line run out here last week when they were setting it up to the house. Next up, it was time to get back to work on the tee box. So we started off by collecting more stones and taking them up to the tee box to get started. I removed the old mat as I'm not going to need it anymore, got rid of the stones I temporarily put down, took a few measurements, and then I dug a trench all the way around the area that we're going to build the tee box on. I dug the trench because I'm going to use some larger stones as a base and I want them buried under the ground. It should also help though with keeping runoff water from getting on the mat. Once the trenches are complete, it's time to start laying out the stones, and like I said, I'm going to put the bigger stones on the bottom and then start piling up on top. Next up, I made a quick trip over to our local landscape supply store, and I got one of my favorite items, crushed gravel. I'm using the crushed gravel to create a strong base for the tee box. I could have used a paver base to do this part of the job, but it would have taken me about 10 to 12 bags, and at $5 per bag, that's going to be a lot more expensive than the $25 I spent to get a truckload of crushed gravel. And while I only need a small fraction of the crushed gravel, I've got another project going on as well that I can use the rest of it for. The next part of this project is very similar to what I spent many hours doing when we built the putting green, but this is a whole lot easier and on a smaller scale, and we don't have to get it nearly as perfect. If you want to see our putting green video and playlist, I'll leave a link to both in the description box. Once I've got the base to the thickness I want it, I'm going to get my landscape rake out to get the final grade down so I can get it as smooth as possible. And again, I'm not trying to get it as smooth as the putting green as we're not rolling any putts on it, so it's a whole lot easier. And as I mentioned, I've got another project going on where I'm building a driveway for my tractor, and I can use all the crushed gravel I can get. So I'm going to drive my truck over there real quick and get rid of the load. Next up, I'm going to use some playground sand to spread over the top of the tee to get it as smooth as I can, but I'm not going to go into too much detail as we're just hitting golf balls off it. And for the final step, I'm going to roll out the turf that I'm going to use to hit balls off. This is leftover putting green turf, and it's not going to be the perfect fit as I'm going to have to make cuts and piece it together. However, it should look a whole lot better than the old ratty mat we were using. My plan is to eventually upgrade and get a one-piece mat that has a solid rubber base under it, but I'm going to wait until the house build is over before I start looking into that. But if you have any suggestions on a good hitting mat to get, leave me a comment in the description box below and let me know what I ought to buy. And once I had it nearly done and looking really good, it was time to get rid of all the tools in the gator and get the golf balls and the golf clubs out and start having fun. Next week, I'm going to get started breaking down the field as we're about a month away from seed season, and I'm going to start getting to work trying to make the perfect yard. So be sure to subscribe and follow along as we got a lot of work about to happen. Thanks as always for watching, and we will see you soon.